Welcome to this presentation on the astrology of Matt Gaetz and the failed Attorney General nomination and potential sex scandals associated with that. Hello, I'm Altazar, professional spiritual astrologer. Last week, the nomination of Matt Gaetz for Attorney General of the United States by President-elect Donald Trump was dramatically derailed due to allegations of illicit sex with a minor, sex trafficking, and illegal drug use. This had been explored by the Justice Department in recent years, as well as the House of Representatives Ethics Committee, while Matt Gaetz was a representative from a congressional district in Florida. Does the astrology natal chart for Matt Gaetz support even a remote possibility that these allegations are true? The intent of this presentation is my interest in promoting the notion of forensic astrology. This is the use of karmic astrology to reveal the negative karma in a person's chart as a potential predisposition for an individual to engage in criminal behavior. This can become potential corroborating evidence as to whether an individual suspect may have committed some form of abuse or a crime or been a victim. Having studied the astrology charts of many criminals, including thieves, murderers, sexual deviants, rapists, and even serial killers, certain negative karmic astrology configurations are usually evident. However, some of these configurations may be found in the charts of honest, positive, moral, and professionally successful people. What differentiates the criminal from the person of integrity is the degree to which they have embraced personal growth and spiritual self-discipline, which guides their decisions and actions with moral integrity. I'm Altazar, professional master spiritual astrologer with over 35 years experience. I'm going to post my contact information here for those who might be interested in a complimentary, free introductory astrology reading. So you'll see there my website, www.altazarastrology.com, and this YouTube channel, Altazar Astrology. And if you get something from this presentation or others on my website, there's over 30 of the videos there. Please do subscribe or like the video. And if you subscribe, you'll be able to receive notifications of additional videos posted. The underlying implication here is that spiritual astrology is a deep metaphysical representation of how ego-based attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors, karma, if you will, are revealed as patterns from prior lifetimes and indicate to what extent or not a person is evolving towards a positive, harmonious resonance with the love of the universe and other people. And that means beyond negativity fueled by fear and the delusion of ego separation. In this presentation, we will explore the natal chart of Matt Gaetz in the context of forensic astrology to see if the allegations of illicit sex with a minor, sex trafficking, and/or illicit drug use in some of those contexts are corroborated by the symbolic planetary configurations indicated by karmic astrology in his chart. However, before I begin the exposition of Matt Gaetz, I'm going to bring up the astrology chart for Donald Trump and the current recent planetary positions to put into context how Trump's uh, approach to nominating his cabinet is related to this astrological energy of his at this time. So now I have posted on the screen the chart of Donald Trump on the left and that of Matt Gaetz' natal chart on the right. Now, the chart of Donald Trump is his natal chart, which is based on an alleged accurate birth time. The birth time for Matt Gaetz is not clear, and so we're using the average for the middle of the day, which is 12 noon. But the birth date and location are accurate and enough to provide the detail of evidence we're looking for in this presentation. So to start with, Donald Trump, post the election, uh, I'm looking at the planet's position on November 22nd. That's right around the date when Matt Gaetz withdrew his nomination. And Matt Gaetz, at a prior time, had already resigned from his representative position in Congress to essentially end the ongoing investigation regarding alleged sexual misconduct. Now, when we look at the chart of Donald Trump, we're seeing here that and this is where the planetary positions are around his chart. What is a theme that we're noticing about Donald Trump's approach to his nominations for candidate and cabinet positions? Well, what stands out here, as you may recall from my previous presentation on the election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, I had pointed out in that previous presentation, which was associated with November 5th, 2024, that if Kamala Harris won the election, this Uranus position in Donald Trump's chart on the midheaven of his chart in the house of politics and public service and administrative authority in society is and was on November 5th in a squared angle to his Mars in Leo in a conjunction to his ascendant. So the Mars in Leo conjunct his ascendant is described as someone who has a character and personality of outgoing, forceful, authoritative charisma and strong individuality related to that identity passion. Now you'll notice that on the day Matt Gaetz resigned, the moon is virtually exactly in a conjunction with his Mars, and Uranus, as it's been for the past month in November and election day, in the square to Mars. So had Trump not been elected, this would have portended his turbulent and encouraging challenge to the election, including even the degree to imply violence that we saw on January 6, 2021. Mars transiting at this time in Taurus, in a square to the planet Mars, is a time when, depending upon the person's consciousness and whether they follow a moral and honest consciousness, or whether, or if not, if they're ego-based and highly emotionally reactive, uh, this Mars square can imply those who engage in turbulent, uh, uncooperative, and uh, ego-based resentment that fuels potential uh, anger, turbulence, uh, political and legal challenges, and even uh, political, sociological disruptions in society. So that was avoided, as Trump was, in some respects, preparing his MAGA followers to challenge the election results and even electors. On the other hand, if Donald Trump, as he has, won the election, this Uranus position, and you'll notice that Donald Trump is a Uranian Gemini. See how he has a Uranus in his birth chart in a conjunction to his sun sign, which implies, along with his trine to Jupiter, that he is just inherently, or if you will, karmically, disruptor, uh, a radical, a maverick in a certain sense to challenge the status quo of everything and anything, and to hopefully be a catalyst for progressive change in society. That is a potential calling of his. Now, unfortunately, the narcissism he has associated with Saturn Venus conjunction uh, makes it so that he is so attached to his own status and stature and authoritativeness vis-a-vis his unique perspectives, as well as accolades and acknowledgments from the public, that Uranus squaring Mars implies that this, and Uranus in the house of political, economic, and uh, macroistic public service, implies a time where he would feel emboldened to appoint and appoint cabinet members that might be inclined to somehow disrupt or even radically undermine the status quo of the government. Is it any wonder that he might choose someone like Matt Gaetz, who's a lawyer but has very little legal experience, more as a politician and uh, a sycophant and supporter of Trump and a loyalist. And that's at this time in his presidency what Trump is looking for. And so, he, and as well, Matt Gaetz bought into the kind of conspiracy theory of the weaponization of the Justice Department and the FBI, and even all the prosecutions associated towards Trump, that this would be Trump's uh, attack dog, so to speak. However, the Uranian square to Mars in this house of politics also implies that there could be just unexpected disruptions associated with his cabinet choices or how he approaches the government. And that would not necessarily work in his favor or along the lines of his vision and goals. So now we'll take a look and see, especially with the moon in a conjunction with Mars on the day Matt Gaetz resigns, that implying a time of a potential disruption in his personal ambitions for affecting the government. So we're going to take this out and move this position over to take a look at Matt Gaetz. What has Matt Gaetz been accused of in recent and past time? He has been accused of having an affair with and observed, as well as testimony from, a woman who's now older in her 20s, but during the time of her alleged affair was 17 years old. So allegedly, Matt Gaetz was having sexual relations with a minor, and that's statutory legal problem. Also, there are other testimony claiming that he had been a part of or involved in parties that may have had certain orgy type qualities, and also the illicit use of drugs in the context of these uh, sexual orgy relations and or parties. So this was investigated by the Justice Department, but no charges were filed ultimately, but was handed off to the Ethics Committee of the House of Representatives, which was continually evolving that testimony and bringing together a consolidated report uh, up until recently when Matt Gaetz was uh, nominated and realized how he could evade the investigation or even the uh, publication and or the making public of the report by resigning from Congress. So there is the potential allegations and charges. In forensic astrology, we're looking at, well, is there corroborating evidence here that Matt Gaetz might have or have the karmic predisposition to engage in these allegations and potential behaviors? Well, uh, as I have shared, I have studied many charts of sexual deviants, rapists, and serial killers who have had tangential uh, sexual deviancy associated with their murderous behavior. In Matt Gaetz' chart, we'll just say this, that he's a Taurus. He's born on a Friday on May 7th. Friday is a day that actually implies that if we're doing a counseling for him, a life purpose counseling, it implies being born in the year of the water dog, 1982, on a Friday, that his deeper, if you will, soul-based calling in life was not necessarily being a lawyer or a politician, but actually being uh, involved in the arts in some capacity, maybe as an actor or a producer, something along those lines that would be more directly creative. So that's one way that energy can be challenged. And people born in the year of the dog, 82, are here to learn the most from being in and evolving their emotional consciousness and their ability to be honestly intimate and empathic with people on a personal and creative level. When a person has the number 7 as their birthday number, that's the number of the spiritual warrior. That's the number of people who are here to more than the average person, really embrace uh, psychology, personal growth, introspective understandings of their emotions and feelings, the calling to embrace some kind of spiritual practice like yoga and meditation in order to deepen their access and awareness of their psychological maladies or karmic uh, blocks for their inner peace and a greater authentic self expression. Well, it seems clear, when we evaluate the hard karma in a person's chart, we want to give them the benefit of the doubt in terms of looking at their history to see whether they have come to terms with understanding their calling, their healing, their personal growth, or whether they have egoically avoided that in a fear based manner, not embraced introspective personal growth. And so it seems clear that Matt Gaetz has the South Node in Capricorn, implying that he has been in the public eye, materialistically inclined to political economic behavior and or public service authoritative positions. And when we see that his sun sign is in Taurus at 16 degrees, that implies that he certainly has a calling to evolve his skills, talents, and abilities in a pragmatic way, and sharing, not scaring, his gifts and talents authentically with the world in order to be prosperous from a creative point of view. And he is very creative or passionate. But we see that as hard karma, he has the Pluto Saturn in Libra, which is certainly Saturn in Libra is the karma of learning how to compromise, learning how to integrate more in a balanced way in society, in the Aquarian decadent of Libra, and learning how to give and take and be in a balanced approach to relationships. However, with the Saturn Pluto conjunction in this quincunx to his sun, it implies that he has lifetimes of having been overly zealously controlling and domineering in efforts to attain stature and status politically and economically in society. And it can imply that he could be uh, really one who panders to authority or other political figures that opportunistically gain him advancement and status. Not unlike how he's acted during the course of the campaign for the presidency that Trump won. Now, because of that karmic uh, misdirection, I mean, this also implies that he could evolve to be much more in this life, paying attention to his own creativity and authentic self expression spiritually and psychologically. And that's because he has Chiron in a conjunction to his sun sign, meaning that he's really here, like the number seven, to be a kind of healer. However, how about the allegations about sexual abuse? Well, here we see that he has a classic Mars opposition to Venus, implication of potential sexual addiction and or someone who is extraordinarily lustful. Venus in Aries in itself is in detriment karmically, Aries is a masculine sign. It's aggressive, it's assertive, it's lustful, it's takes initiative, it's impulsive when it comes to relationships, and may tend to be inclined to overemphasize sexual attraction over other dimensions of relationship connections, such as friendship, emotional rapport, intellectual, conversational connection, and mutual spiritual values for lifestyle. Yet, after describing the detrimental karma associated with Venus in Aries, we do see that he has a split dynamic here. The Venus in a trine to Uranus and Sagittarius implies that he can be quite charismatic and socially gregarious and be inclined to want to engage service as an initiator and a leader uh, for community action and humanitarian service. So he does have a positive karma associated with a certain degree of compassion or at least humanitarian inclination. However, on a personal level, we see that he has the moon in Scorpio. Now, karmically, the moon in Scorpio is considered in its most difficult position, which implies, and which is why, he was born in the year of the dog on a Friday. So, what this means for most people is moon in Scorpio implies a karmic emotional immaturity. You see, there can be people who are very adept at wielding power and engaging the public and administrating policies of political economic impact, who are totally inept when it comes to personal, intimate relationships. And Matt Gaetz happens to be what's implied here, one of those kind of people. That's why his real calling is to possibly be much more of a personal growth minister, therapist, artist, someone who really engages the exploration of being in personal relationships and or exhibiting and understanding the dynamics of relationships in a personal and more intimate way or creative way. But when that creativity is not channeled in an authentic soul growth path, then you have Mars opposite Venus that he brings into this lifetime, the pursuit of sexual satisfaction, which provides this kind of person the delusion of emotional intimacy or love when it's really lust. So this opposition, Mars opposite Venus, is one of the most potent karmic positions of those who have tremendous creative energy and potential expression that can be channeled into a artistic or inspirational context, or seek a solution to their desperation for intimacy because they are so um, public, but yet inept at evolving, nurturing friendships or personal relationships. And this is uh, a proclivity of what certain sex and romance addicts have as part of the MO of their calling to heal. Now, that's one uh, piece of evidence that does imply Matt Gaetz potentially engaging in uncontrolled, illicit, and or impulsive sexual uh, connections. But it goes further with Mars also in a square to Neptune. This implies that due to a lack of emotional maturity and potential lack of moral integrity, and when it comes to commitment and fidelity in relationships, Mars square Neptune implies the potential for someone who engages in illicit sexual liaisons, secret sexual liaisons, and or infidelity while in a committed relationship due to their extraordinary uh, libido and sexual appetite. Mars square Neptune also implies the proclivity towards other forms of escapism associated with sex, such as drug use. So drugs and alcohol are associated with Neptune in a square to Mars. So if I was connecting with the ethics committee of United States Congress or the Justice Department, and they were open to forensic astrology. And of course, Mars square Neptune implies someone who could be potentially a pathological liar, yet convincingly be someone who demands their justice and demands their innocence, and be a great actor, actually masking the truth of their illicit, illegal, and infidelity behavior. So now we're going to bring up the chart of where the planets were on the day that Matt Gaetz resigned. Well, if you will, gave up his nomination. So now you're going to see the chart of Matt Gaetz' natal chart as you'd seen it just before, and yet similar to what I showed of Donald Trump's chart, where the planets were on November 22nd as they're dispersed around Matt Gaetz' chart. So what stands out here, what I'm looking for is what major planetary position and movement might have been associated with the continuous media storm and potential damaging revelations that led towards Donald Trump's decision to, as well as his team, to cajole Matt Gaetz to give up and let go of his stature as the nominee for Attorney General. So, what we see here, remember I shared in his natal chart how one of the more insidious implications of criminal behavior that is deceptively hidden, masked, yet potentially engaged in a drug-like experience, which many use sex addiction and drugs combination, with the Mars opposite Venus and the Mars square Neptune in his birth chart. That's the combination of the secretive yet illicit behavior of escapism through drugs, alcohol, and or sex, or all of the above. Here's Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces. And lo and behold, look at that. Matt Gaetz, Neptune at 26 degrees Sagittarius. This is a once in a lifetime position of Neptune. Neptune moves very slowly. When Matt Gaetz was born, Neptune was right here in his chart. So in the course of his lifetime, up to this point, he's something like 44, in his early 40s. Neptune has only moved up to this position. And this is the proverbial midlife crisis energy position that most people have going on between the age of 38 and 45. Well, isn't it, let's say, not a coincidence, as from an astrologer's point of view, that Neptune would be in this square to his natal Neptune, which implies the potential of revelations of secretive, if not addictive, drug-like, or illicit behaviors associated with the karma in his birth chart of Mars square Neptune. So the universe was not going to let him get away with resigning from Congress to derail the investigation of the allegations of his illicit drug and sexual abuse. And furthermore, after he resigned from Congress, that the media, and especially CNN, just prior to the 22nd, had additional testimony from other women who observed Gaetz engaged in this illicit behavior. So the point here is that forensic astrology reveals the karmic and or behavioral predispositions that people may have that they don't necessarily have to have acted out. A person can be inclined to violence or lust or backstabbing, gossiping, or other forms of negative egotism and or narcissism. Yet, due to self-control and spiritual growth practices and healing that elevate their consciousness through activities like meditation, they don't necessarily become a criminal or even someone who is of objectionable behavior. However, as I've shared in previous videos, especially in regards to the Menendez brothers video, if we do observe the historical behavior up through and including the present of that individual that seems to uh, be corroborated by this astrology revelation of their potential karmic behavioral predisposition, well, then there is additional supportive evidence for the allegations. So I thank you all for observing this to its conclusion. Please like this video if you found it informative. Please contact me at the contact information here that I will provide again if you are interested in a complimentary, free, no cost or obligation. No, that's not what I wanted to share. Here we go. There it is. So my website and my YouTube channel and my email address, altazarastrology@gmail.com. Be well.